Awesome. Well, let's get started. Hugh, if you could let the people in while I'm talking here. Uh, well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate everybody's time. Just so you know, we are recording this, so please, if it gave you a notification, allow it to record. We're going to get the recording to anybody that wants it. And if you hit no, it dumps the recording for everybody. So please allow it. And so thanks everybody for coming. We realize you could be somewhere else right now. I know we're all busy. So the team here at Atomic Elevator wants to utilize this time and create value for you. My name is Brian McDonald, and I'm with Atomic Elevator. I'm the fractional sales leader, and I'm here with Hugh Murphy, our head of marketing, and our Keith LeVere, our founder and CEO. And we're excited to share this tool and our idea of precision marketing, with you today. So with that, I'll kick it over to Keith, and you can take the keys.
Excellent. I'm so happy to have an opportunity to talk to you this morning. If you are a marketer, a huge welcome to you. I know you're here because you care about making a difference for businesses. We have crafted something by marketers, for marketers, that I just can't wait to show this to you. I know there's some sales leaders who are on today too. As I was looking through the list of those who've joined, thank you for partnering with us. We believe in the power of collaboration between sales and marketing, and we absolutely want to make sure this is packed with good insights for you as marketing is in service to sales. And no matter who you are, product expert, I saw some strategy folks joining, some agency folks, or you're just simply curious, you are in the right place because I believe that we share a common mission, and that is to empower businesses offering remarkable products and services, whether they're small startups or billion-dollar giants. I'm a fellow entrepreneur. I turned marketer about a decade ago, and I'm here to say thank you for dedicating yourselves to propelling great ideas. So here's how I see today's mission. I want to briefly walk you through what I'm going to call the atomic building blocks from which we've created Ella and why we believe in her power to channel your amazing energy. Secondly, I want to welcome you into this new way of getting around. Come on into the elevator, if you will, journey to some new floors, or maybe cue the spooky music, new dimensions or something. I want to talk about precision, specifically as this controlled release of energy by focusing and creating impact. We think that there is transformation possible. It's precision that's going to fuel success. We are dedicated to that service in powering your endeavors. I want to show you a few things that others have done as they have harnessed this energy. And finally, I want to invite each of you to explore whether unlocking that potential with our atomic core might be fantastic for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare for liftoff or takeoff or an elevator ride, I guess I want to ask if there's anything we could do to make your ride more enjoyable. So we thought it might be fun for just a couple of minutes. If you have a phone, grab it, scan the QR code. If you're just at a browser and want to go to menti.com, menti.com, as we have up on screen, enter that code 44366088. I've got a couple of questions that it would really help me to have some context for, so I can be sure that in the next 50 minutes or so, we are tailoring to what it is that you care about. So I'm going to pop this up here. We got question number one up there, some things coming through, and I appreciate your willingness to play this game. So hoping to get out of today learning something new. We're absolutely going to accomplish that. Gosh, is that somebody on the Atomic Elevator team? Yes, Ella is our baby. We are honored. See if others pop in here too. I'm going to go back here in case you are waiting. QR code I'll keep up on that screen. Does it look like we've got some more responses coming through?
Yeah, we've got them coming in now, so I learned something new. As a consultant, struggle with creating and delivering marketing materials. Want to see how this might help streamline marketing campaigns for a bootstrap client, better understand what marketing tasks I can automate,
Excellent.
see how AI can help optimize marketing efforts, learn who Ella is. Oh yeah, you're seeing it on screen.
Yeah, excellent. All right. I'm going to do the best I can to keep these in mind. Feel free to keep popping in responses in there. And Hugh and Brian, keep me accountable. Feel free to pull us back to any of these things so that we're absolutely sure that we are making this a great use of time. I've got a second question I want to throw out there too. Hugh, can you pop this one up there? I'm curious which of the following problem most resonates with you. Is it the imprecision of marketing? Is it that fractional marketers really can't be experts at everything? Is it that most marketing is actually treating symptoms instead of the root? Is it that growing your own fractional business or your own processes is difficult? Or is it that AI tools are actually changing the rules? What's the problem that you're feeling is most acute for you? Ooh, I like that. You do we got some, is it showing there? So it's going to show a poll
Yeah,
of some
if
sort?
you refresh your screen, I
I
think.
need to do that. I like number 5. There we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Growing your own fractional business is difficult is number 1 right now. Awesome to hear. Hugh, should we give it another minute and I'll refresh again, or?
Yeah, it's still looking like the same shape. I've got the
Okay.
rectangle here. Although refresh now, it's starting to change a little. Keep them coming in.
Okay.
Wow.
Excellent. I see still fractional business is difficult. Marketing treating symptoms instead of problems. I saw a great graphic. I'll see if we have time to work into today's presentation that really gets at that. Let me just quickly address each of these as we kind of set the stage around this. So for those who said, let's go top to bottom here. Growing your own business is difficult. I've had one-on-one conversations with nearly 200 people over the last year. This is what I hear most often. First, thank you for your honesty this morning. And second of all, the specific challenges that people put back to me is they either don't know how to sell or they're trying to be a Jack or a Jill of all trades. And we've built something from the ground up that's going to help you with both. So super glad to see that and super excited to show you what Ella can do. Most marketing treating symptoms instead of problems. Absolutely. Our tool that we're going to show in just a little bit doesn't even get to those symptoms without defining those root layers of things like product and persona and positioning. Fractional marketers can't be experts at everything. You know, it's impossible to keep up with the crazy changes that are happening in marketing. Those that I've spoken with, in my experience being a fractional, we either get exhausted or we feel like imposters. And we believe you can stop both and stay in your zone of genius, and Ella's going to help with that. AI tools are changing the rules. Absolutely. That's why we're together today, is to show you what we've discovered in the last year and what we've built to help you discover how you're going to stay in your zone of genius with doing that. And then finally, that precision thing. Interesting that that was kind of at the bottom. I'll tell you our point of view is that by focusing in on precise language, precise strategy, precise tactics, and aligning all of them, we can actually do better work. So
If you do a
thank you
quick
all.
refresh,
Yeah,
do a quick refresh.
I bet.
Final.
Okay. Symptoms ahead of
Awesome.
problems is number 1. So thank you all for playing that game. Got one more question I'd like to put forward, Hugh. Can we pop this one up as well?
Let's do it.
Love to just understand kind of the experience that you all have with AI. Are you complete rookies? Are you daily users? Or are you somewhere in between there? If you can give us a sense of that, I'll do my best to calibrate. I will tell you that Uh, Speaking to a range is tricky. So I'm going to ask for your patience if I'm addressing something basic in a question or something for which you don't have experience. So we'll look forward to making sure that you all feel love in this. So, wow, a lot of daily users. How many responses do we have in for that already, Hugh?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see here. That would be useful to know, wouldn't it? 15. We're at 15 now. Yeah, so
Okay.
good. A lot of
A lot of heavy users, sure. So I'll err on the side of being a little bit more advanced in my comments, and then feel free to ask questions in chat. We'll do our best to get to those, or feel free to follow up with those if some of what we go at or the pace that we go through this stuff is a little faster than what you're ready for. So thank you for playing that. I'm trying to figure out, somebody scribbled on that Zoom screen, and is there a way to actually annotate or clear that? Does anybody know the answer? I'm trying to figure out. I've not ever seen anybody do that. So whoever did that, thank you. There we go. I found an eraser because you just taught me something new. So awesome. Okay, looks like Kay.
Yeah, I'm trying out all the functions. Sorry.
Yeah. I love curious people. So thank you for playing this game with us today, Kay. Okay, so I have pressed the elevator call button. I can see the elevator countdown coming. We're about to all hop into this thing. And I want to just clear three things out of the way, kind of like a ride report. If you've been in an airplane recently, you know, it's a little bumpy ahead if I don't address three things. So I'm going to just jump in here and hit the following. Number one, should I even use AI in my work? Here are things that we believe. If you disagree with those, let's take that offline and talk about it. If you agree with it, we'd love to hear that too. But essentially, AI is not a replacement for you. It's not after your job. It's not the expert. And it is not a creative genius. However, to that point, AI lets you operate in that zone of genius. We believe it's a fantastic tool to support. It can fill in gaps. It can increase confidence. It can consider all these angles, and it lets you be precise. And so we believe that AI has the potential to be the most amazing assistant that you can ever hire. So if I could just listen in for a moment to something somebody shared with me.
Like put together a marketing strategy or whatever, Ellen is going to save me a lot. For the things that I'm peripherally good at, like branding, SEO, ad strategy, it will give me a head start. It will give me an overview, but I cannot expect Ellen for any AI tool to be the end all be all without expertise added in.
So this was Chris. She was looking at Ella last week as evaluation. She became a subscriber on Monday, and I was asking her a little bit about her journey around that. And I love what she said there at the end. You know, AI doesn't have to solve, it should not solve everything. She can make your work significantly faster, and she can give you first drafts to be used by experts. So if we agree that AI can be an incredible assistance, or if you're not quite there yet and are just in the curious camp, then your next logical question before we hop into this elevator is, okay, you're about to show me something. How is it different than ChatGPT or Claude? So let me give you a little bit of context around that as well. So large language models, as most of you know, ChatGPT is powered by one of those models. They do some pretty awesome, what I'm going to call party tricks. It's amazing to see how much faster GPT can synthesize and how many perspectives it can combine. You know, as humans, we are narrow, we are inherently biased in our experience, and we may have a particular area of expertise, but it's kind of T-shaped, right? And so average is really what ChatGPT is great at. Average is really what it's designed to do, right? Average works well for some things, but average doesn't work in marketing. We need strong differentiation. It doesn't work for marketing where we need frameworks or we have principles that we can actually apply. And so what we've built is something different. What we've built sits on top of and uses a large language model. But it has been custom trained by curated experts, has been tuned to the discipline of marketing, and we can even take it to the level of being trained on any business that you're serving. And the end result of that is that she becomes a super smart assistant, the very best assistant that I've ever hired in whatever it is, almost 40 years of business. And she automates many of those tasks, and she does so with precision. Some of you know a guy named John Arms, part of a great fractional group called Voyager, and puts on a conference called FRAC. As he said, it's like taking 100 of the best marketing brains and packaging them up so that you can take them to any client or use them on any project. Okay. One more thing before we all hop in the elevator. Thank you for your patience as I make sure the ride's less bumpy. Many people are asking us, well, if I'm about to show you a few things that Ella can do. What is it that she's really great at? And I want to be clear, Ella's been trained on 76 different deliverables. When I say trained, we have given her very specific and precise instructions for how to do these things incredibly well using best practice frameworks that are out there and decades and decades upon decades of experience from those who have been using and helping us train her. And so we're going to show you just a few of those things. She could do these 76 things, and she's even getting more capabilities on a monthly basis. And if there's something on this list that's not there that you want her trained in, we would love to learn from you. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and just say, do we have any questions so far? Either raise hand or post in chat, and maybe Hugh, Brian, help me keep an eye on chat because I don't have that up on screen too. Any questions at all?
Yeah, I have a question. When you say trained, what are you using to train her?
What we're using is a set of documents, both in terms of kind of deliverables that we've constructed and very precise instructions that follow best practices that we have basically said, as an example, positioning should follow these rules. For blank that blank, you're the blank that blank because blank, right? And we should make sure that it has an acute problem, and that problem should be really painful and experienced by the ICP. So that would be an example of the rules that we basically have custom written. So it's our training that's around there, and then it's supported by any backup information that exists inside that large language model. So if it's something that we haven't taught it, we tell it to go fetch that out there and pull it in. And that level of power is what you're going to see put together. Does that answer the training question?
Sort of, but maybe I need to see it.
Okay, let's show you. And then if we've got a further follow-up, I can give you some online detail or some offline conversation and go into lots of details about that. Any other questions right now?
Yeah, I had a question. Popular right now, at least a lot of the ads that I'm seeing, are claims about how ChatGPT can be trained to speak in your voice, in your particular voice.
Yeah.
So how do we, I mean, because right now I'm the product, well, when I launch my business, I'm the product.
Yep.
So I need it to sound like me. Is that something that you can also do?
Not only can also do, but better than any other product that's out there because of the approach that we've taken to basically deconstruct and take apart your entire brand and who you're talking to, and then reassemble that back when you're talking. So other tools like Jasper out there, they have a purpose, they have a role, they're really good at constructing content in a box. But where our tool will blow Jasper away is that we have much more detailed information that supports that. So when you talk about speaking in your voice, she simply does a better job. And I challenge anybody to try Ella against any of the tools that are out there. I think you're going to be wonderfully impressed. So, okay. Any other questions at this point, or should we jump in and actually show you what this girl looks like? Ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Let's go.
Awesome. So our tool has been designed in a familiar way for those who've been playing with AI and those who are familiar with chat interface right now to kind of guide you through and be, again, a chat-based assistant, because the workflow that you're doing is likely best represented in something like this. You can sit down. We have up on screen some of the 76 things that she can do to just kind of get started. But I'm going to just paint for you a scenario where maybe a fractional opportunity, you're out there trying to get some new business, and you are speaking with or just met with a company at called Quantum Brew, and um, you just want to sit down and have a conversation with Ella. So Ella is basically saying, hey, how can I assist you? And this is an opportunity for you to maybe take some notes. I've got these pre-pasted in here from a conversation that you had this morning, a little bit about what Quantum Brew is, which in this situation or scenario is probably something that the world doesn't need, an AI-powered coffee maker. But if you'll play along with today's game, you'll see that Ella's going to come back and say, basically, great. Here are some things that you might do. So I'll just pause here for a second. This could have been call notes, transcripts, and what Ella is doing in this first case is, because she's been, to the earlier question about training, for example, trained on, these are some of the things that you're going to want to do as you start to think about this engagement, Quantum Brew. We can walk you through this through a series of questions. So Ella's coming back and saying, hey, I need some more information if I'm even going to get started and do some things with you. And so, Ella said basically, why would people even believe in this thing? Or do people even want this, basically? And so you can be honest with Ella. I love the fact that, again, her job is not just to write content like Jasper, or go to GPT and kind of give you again the average of everything. You can actually converse with her because she understands the craft of marketing. And you could say something like, hey, I don't even know if people are going to buy this product. So before we even talk about whether I want to engage as a fractional, let's actually talk about things like, do people really want this? And so Ella will come back to you and say, hey, we probably need to assess market viability. Here are some ways that we might do that. We could do some market research. We could look at some customer pain points. We could think about the target audience. We could do a competitive analysis or maybe some survey and focus group. And here's some questions you might ask when you're next meeting with their head of sales or their CEO or their founder or whoever it is that you're engaged with. And so I think it's important to just pause here and say, you don't just sit there and tell Ella to do the work. Go build X. You could do that in ChatGPT. What you could do is actually converse with her and say, essentially, what are some of the things that we might do? And this is one of the most powerful things that we've found that Ella has done for those 170 people that are already using her. If you look in here, she's already said, hey, here's a little sketch of what you might do. She's quite verbose, wants to keep going and give you some additional ideas. And I think it's just fantastic. I'm going to tie this, though, back over here to kind of principle number one. I think this was is it right, the second rated, treat the root, not the symptoms, people's experience around this. This is a chart that I've seen variations of out there that kind of describes essentially the wheel of the root, where you have a product and then you have some of the core strategic things that sit around that. You have structural things from an organizational point of view, and then you have kind of these surface level problems. And what Ella's doing in this moment is helping think through, are these product issues, are these brand issues, are these positioning issues, and helping you do your job better, whether you're, again, a wildly experienced strategist or you're a wildly experienced brand person who's doing strategy. Ella's going to be helpful to you in kind of giving you some context. So I'll give you a couple other scenarios in here to just keep this going. And, one of the things that we might do is say to Ella, gosh, I'm interested in actually doing or thinking a little bit more about the general market analysis, but for goodness sake, I just met with them this morning in this scenario, right? And they haven't even started a contract with me, so I'm trying to keep my work here to a minimum. So Ella can just do a really low resolution, rough draft kind of market sketch for you. She can do competitive research or go out there and look on the internet at various things if you want her to do that. But she's going to give you some guidance on what you might do, again, because she's your assistant, not trying to do all the work to conduct that market analysis. And so this is something that you could use to guide your decisions. And again, if you go back to this principle here, you can use Ella to think about, in this case, product, or think more about position, or think more about kind of where there's actually an opportunity, which might be in persona, and who are the people that might care about this. I'm just going to spend another minute or two, and then I'll pause for some more questions in this scenario, give you some idea of the way our Ella users have been putting her to work. You can bring information like this into thinking about a scope of work. You can take a rough draft and have some notes in there to have questions that you could bring to your client as part of further discovery as you're figuring out how best you can serve them. You might honestly use it to even determine if it's something that you want to work on, right? If it's going to be a project that fits for you or that you believe is going to be successful. So I'll give you maybe one more scenario here. Ella's coming back and giving us a little bit of information about, hey, maybe we want to think more about who those customers are, and what their interest might be. We could say something like, hey, I love the idea of thinking a little bit more about some personas. Who are some of the main kinds of people that might be interested in Quantum Brew? And so she's going to come back and give you a variety of personas. You could ask her for more or for fewer. So here's a tech savvy professional. These are some of her goals and beliefs. And when the person who asked the question about how we've trained Ella, for example, we've given her very precise instructions for when we talk about personas, we want to identify needs, pains, gains, channels, objections, language, tone, strategy, etc. Again, don't mean to overwhelm, but want to tie back to what she's doing. So she's given us a little bit of information about tech-savvy professional and coffee connoisseur and the busy family and an eco-conscious consumer. You can use these to validate work. Again, you can use these to construct rough drafts. For example, if you want to go a little bit deeper in here, and let's say we want to pick the tech-savvy professional, we could simply say to Ella here, what is the value proposition canvas for the tech-savvy professional? And a value proposition canvas, for those of you who aren't familiar with this framework, more training that we provided Ella. This is Alex Osterwalder's stuff, a brilliant strategist. Sorry, it's coming up a little bit blurry there. You can sort of kind of see, maybe if I hold it by my face, looks like it's not going to really work.
Yeah, no,
the AI is too good, but this book, there, value proposition
there you
canvas,
go.
Alex, is really a great way to think about jobs and pains and gains, and ultimately what it is that you're doing or a brand could do to relieve that pain or create that gain. And so Ella does a great job kind of pulling that stuff in there. You could say things like, help me think a little bit more about whether the pain relievers and gain creators are sufficient to motivate this person to actually purchase. What are some considerations that I might use as I help the team evaluate whether there's even a market for this? And Ella's going to come back and give you some relevance. She's going to help you think about essentially what you might do to do some validation. And she's even going to provide kind of a first draft assessment. You've said AI taste learning is a pain reliever. Is this highly relevant? She says maybe. Remote brewing, she says, yeah. User-friendly setup, absolutely. So Ella can be used very, very quickly here to start to sketch some of this stuff out there. This will help you again in discovery, thinking about scope of work, and also in some cases, people are telling us, building some confidence and credibility in what it is that they're doing. So I know that was a rush through a lot of things in about 10 minutes. I'm gonna pause here. This is kind of to set some context. This has all been around principle one, treating all these different things. Everything you see here, Ella can help you explore. And I'm also going to quickly pop this up. What we've done is asked Ella to use some of these frameworks. For example, we've got 14 on just the strategy side, 14 different frameworks that are in there. And Ella can take a project or take a brand and bust it into a journey map, or bust it into a competitive matrix, or bust it into a more detailed messaging strategy. And that's really where Ella shines. You just can't do this stuff on ChatGPT. Jasper's not designed to do this. There's nothing out there in the marketplace today, at least that we've seen, that does this. And this is why we're so stinking excited about it. So pause here. Questions. What do we got?
You have some questions in the chat.
Okay. You want to help moderate those for me or throw them out?
Yeah, so 4 questions. They're all tied together. Is any training done limited to me and staying within the walls of my company? How far does the content I enter go beyond me or my company? Content watermarking, content rights. Can I tell Ella to forget my content that she learned from me? So that's around content.
Okay, let's take that from 2 dimensions and then take another question. So one dimension is let's just talk about privacy and kind of security of your information. Ella, your agreement with us is that Ella stores information on our server. It is not stored at OpenAI. OpenAI is not using your information, your brand, your documents, anything you upload for any purposes. They don't have access to that information. They temporarily do when we use API, getting a little bit nerdy. We basically invoke OpenAI to go think about your stuff. We might pass it temporarily there, but OpenAI has assured us in their agreements that they're not doing anything with that information. So the first point I want to make is this is a more secure way to operate, a more confidential way to operate. And we have strict confidentiality in our agreement with you that we're not using this information. We're not sharing this information. Nobody else has access to this information. So it is private. So that's one dimension of what I heard in there. Other dimension that I heard in there is how do I make sure that Ella really knows everything about me as a brand? I'm just going to expand out here and kind of reveal something off to the left here. So you've been looking at Ella right now through kind of a very familiar chat-based interface, and we've got this thread in here, but I'll show you what I was building this morning in preparation for today was just a little demo project. We have this file management capability in here, so you can take projects and clients and kind of sort them. You can save chats and you can save documents. And so to give you some idea, for example, I started building what we call the brand bot this morning. And so brand bot contains a product guide, and I'll just pop this up or give you some idea. Kind of, you can go into Ella, you can see what she wrote for me this morning. Product summary. Here's the different ICPs that I was working on. Here were some product features, etc. I can take market headwinds and tailwinds. I asked Ella to go do some research around that. And she talked about economic uncertainty, high cost, kind of people getting sick of the idea of AI everything, right? I asked her to think about story brand scripts and positioning, and you get the idea. Ella has all these documents. And so step one in using Ella for a client or even for your own business is training her a little bit on you by following, I'll take it back over to this, and completing many of the pieces that are in here. You don't have to complete all 14, but the more training you give Ella on who you are or who your brand is, the more you fill out, here's a customer journey map. Here's a detailed persona. I'll bring this up to just show you, in even more detail than what we had earlier. Here's more feelings and channels and jobs and gains and pains. The more you train Ella to do this, the better she's going to do. And that gets to one of the earlier questions that we had about how is this different than ChatGPT and kind of, some of the
maybe
other...
to riff on that. Marina was asking, can I train her for individual clients? And it might be maybe you can just point out how you can have multiple personas in there, multiple businesses, but you can invoke the ones that you need.
Yeah. So one of the things I built this morning to show this was a Quantum Brew sample brand bot. And so what I've done is taken all these documents that are over here. There's two different personas and different journey maps and different value proposition canvas, and I stitched them all together. And so now if you're asking Ella to do something, she can write a brief or develop content pillars or write copy for or build this assessment plan for you with all that training in mind. And I can demonstrate that if we want to. I want to make sure I'm getting to questions, but the core question of training, yes, you load up those documents. Once those documents are in her memory or in something like a brand bot, then you're able to build everything with this high degree of alignment and precision because Ella knows a whole lot about who you are and who you're talking to. There's unlimited personas and unlimited journeys and unlimited positionings that you can throw into Ella. Again, you just can't do that in any other tool. So, Brian, let's stay on questions so I don't, I feel like sometimes I'm pulling out like my wallet and showing pictures of my kids. Like, look at my girl. Here she's here and here she's here.
A couple other things. I'm going to try to get things that are linked to another way. So back to the when you're using it and not sharing the info and storing on the server, does Ella actually share any of the learnings that someone does with her with competitors?
No, absolutely not. She can't. So it's private. It's in our context. One of the things that we want to do is make sure you feel confident not only using her for yourself, but confident using her for clients. So your information is private. Nobody else sees it.
Yep. So two questions in one. How do you keep Ella from making things up? And I can, in that same line, how are you guarding from any form of bias?
Yeah, love those questions. So the principle around which these models have been built is they're always trying to get you to an answer. And they try so hard that sometimes they find themselves hallucinating is the term that's out there. We have given Ella very precise instructions that if she doesn't know the answer to say so, but we've also not set that parameter so tight that she doesn't want to riff on things. So much like people that might be on your team, right? They have different confidence factors. Some people are blustery and always think like they know the answer. Ella's not going to be that blustery person on your team, always pretending she knows the answer, but she is going to say, you might consider, or I wonder if, and she's going to offer some other ideas in there. So we've provided very precise training. And to be a little bit nerdy, there are some things, some switches that we can basically set for how likely she is to either be within or go off the rails. And we feel really great about where we've set that right now. So that's that question. Brian, I lost part 2 to that in my answer. Can you remind me?
It was how are you guarding from bias?
Yeah. So I think the guarding question is really terrific. The reality is that I would say we all also bring a bias. I was talking to somebody who's an Ella partner, and he basically said something like humans bring over 100 different biases to anything they do, from recency to start to go through their own life experience and ... And what we've done and found with Ella is by giving it the brains of so many marketers that help build it, by giving her these instructions to essentially not be biased, and by asking her to consider things from alternative points of view, she is much less likely to be biased than a general GPT. That being said, it's important to use her in a way that actually reveals bias. So as an example, or might illustrate where you might be biased, like I could go back up into this particular chat and I could say, what are some possible biases I might have in doing this positioning work? Just ask Ella to help you think about that as an example, and she'll absolutely do that. So
awesome. Okay, there's lots of questions. this one's pretty simple. Can I train her for individual clients, meaning more than one persona?
Yes. So not only more than one persona within a client, and I want to be clear, we have clients that have, 5 personas or 10 personas, and you can train Ella on that, but you can also train her on unlimited numbers of clients. So we have, here's just an example of what mine looks like. So there's no limit whatsoever in there, and you can build those into, this is my account, but here's a company called Aerocom that's been built. I use this, or our fractional uses this, or the actual team at a client could use something like this to construct information. So you've got an unlimited ability to create training for your clients. So there's no limits around personas whatsoever.
Awesome. Can you create contrasting iterations of the output?
Ooh,
See
fun.
alternative options?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple different ways to do that. You basically just ask Ella to show me 2 different versions. I'll give you an example. I was watching a little bit of the DNC convention last night, and Barack Obama was speaking, and I sat down and I was working on my presentation for you all today too. And I said, can you rewrite this in the style of Barack Obama? That's my favorite version. I said, I really like Tony Robbins sometimes. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a little, somebody to just tell me I'm awesome. And so could you write this in the form of Tony Robbins? So Ella has an ability to not only do kind of silly variations like that could help get you out of your box, if you will, but she can also pull all kinds of other frameworks, like give me the 5 different ways you might tell a story. Some of you may be familiar with StoryBrand. I happen to be certified in that particular framework, but there are many other frameworks. So you could have Ella do side by sides and tell you the advantages and disadvantages of those. So
Awesome.
let's maybe grab one more question for now, and then there's a few more things I want to make sure we get to.
Yep.
Maybe can you create presentations like
Yeah.
PowerPoint?
Yeah, so the way we've stopped our kind of boundaries of what we want to make Ella exceptional at, and the way other products end, is you can create an exceptional outline for a presentation. You can create exceptional ideas and content. You can even create and ask Ella to provide you direction on what graphics you might want to put on each slide to illustrate particular points. So she'll think about your audience for a presentation, and she'll think about that outline, and she'll write essentially the form of a creative brief. If I bring up that Quantum Brew example, for example, too, I can just say, write a creative brief for and I'll just use this as a PowerPoint presentation. But we always encourage people to say, who are we talking to? Is it the corporate coffee lover? So we've got that listed in there as kind of a default. And where in the journey are we talking to them? If we're building a presentation, let's talk to them at the problem aware stage of their customer journey. And Ella will go think about, again, we start with a brief. That's our methodology. Ella will think about who you need to talk to, again, what some things might be need to be in mind to trigger them to take action, what those actions might be, what offer you might offer or you might include in there. She's been trained to think about behavioral science insights. If you're familiar with people like Bob Cialdini and persuasion, I'm a big fan of his thinking. Customer pain point that you might work in there. And so first she writes a brief, and then you could say, write the outline for a 12-slide presentation. And you actually tell it to write the headlines and bullet points associated with that. So we're not trying to be a, actual build the slide tool, but you can take the input from Ella and really quickly build a tool in something like Beautiful, which is what we use. So that's kind of where we start and stop.
Keith, maybe I know you want to move on, but there was a related question, which is how does it integrate into Google Drive and script things I've created? Like if you already have brand assets to build off it.
Yep, love that. So a couple things. One, you can always add local files, drop them into your training. So this could be PDFs, docs, transcripts, any existing stuff, Ella will read and learn and basically get smarter about your brand on. Second is you can go read either a page or an entire site. You can get super nerdy and tell it to go read 20 pages of a website or 100 pages of a website, 3 levels deep, but don't read these or read the blogs. Ella will pull that information in and can build content around that. Was there any other part to that question besides scraping and file access that we should get at?
Yeah, integration to Google Drive.
Yeah, so the way we've done it so far, it's a great idea. Throw it on the roadmap. I think one of our product people, Peter, if you're on, get note of that. That's a great point. The way we work right now, though, any of these things that are part of a brand bot or any document that you create, not only can you edit directly in here, right? So these are all editable documents. Can't do that in ChatGPT. These can actually also be shared. So I can take this particular project here and share this out with anybody else if I've got somebody else I'm collaborating with, or if there's a bigger team in here. And then I guess to hit the final question, you can easily download as PDF, as doc, and if you're a super nerd, there's a format called Markdown that some people have asked us for, and so that's in there too. So you can download these and put them in a Google Drive folder if you want to do that. We've found in our practice that it's better to just share things in here and keep things organized in Ella, because then they're always available and kind of the source of truth is here. But Google Drive integration, great idea. We should think more about that. So, okay. I want to get people out here on time. We've only got a few minutes left. There's some things I want to do to just kind of tidy up. So I want to be sure that everyone understands both the strategy side of what can be done and kind of the execution side. You know, up on screen are a few examples. You can have it build things, you can have it build plans, you can have it write copy, you can have it audit. So you can say, for example, review something and compare it to. So if you're engaged in somebody's business and you're helping them think about strategy, but they've got a bunch of existing stuff like an old website that's out of date, ask Elliot to tell you where it's inconsistent. For salespeople, sales leaders, you've got sales scripting or optimal offers or account-based management plans. Ella can build all of those things. So I want to make sure that there's an understanding of that. And then as I put this back together and just kind of take us across the finish line here, I want to make sure you understand that these brand bots are really designed to create highly precise, you can keep using that word, personalized messaging by reassembling all that information that you've trained Ella on. So use cases here, just a handful of final slides. These are some of the things that people are telling us that they're using Ella for. We've talked about some of them today. You probably have your own, and we'd love to have a conversation with you about what those might be. If you are a nerd and look at something like this, and I say that with love and love flowcharts, this is one way to think about Ella. Everything in one of these boxes is something that Ella can do. And this is kind of an organized workflow associated with that. And so we've interconnected these. You build this stuff in yellow into what we call the brand bot or the blueprints, and then you can get to work on all the things on the right, which are all your campaign assets and deliverables that you might do. One quick example, and then a couple case studies in lighter detail. There's a company that makes these pneumatic tubes. I think, yeah, you can see this on screen, like the bank tubes, but they also are used in factories around the world, actually. This is an example of what their brand bot consisted of, all these documents. Ella was able to think about all the content pillars and the relevance to the customer, and from that, build out a list of topics, and from that, build out creative briefs, and even do things like target personas, organized in a different way than for the last 10 years the company had been talking about them. And the result is new LinkedIn campaigns, 5 new white papers, lead magnets, new business coming in. Pretty cool to see that. One of our early users is an EOS coach, and he used it to write not only a welcome sequence for his particular niche, but also a 50-page ebook. One of our companies does what they call scientific opinion certification, and they developed a campaign with Ella's help once it was trained on them for 100 threats to science. Ella not only came up with that idea, which the team just loved, but wrote 100 different LinkedIn posts and blog posts connected to them. and did it in an hour. So the client was just blown away. A couple video clips I'm just going to pop up here, and then we'll kind of tie this up. Here's just a testimonial from somebody named Christine. I loved it because she, as a branding person, said Ella is Stella. Thank you, Christine. I also love the benefits she threw in there. Excited about doing work again. She'd been in a rut, and that was really fun to see it benefit.
70%.
So I'm going to hit this one. Hopefully the audio will come through clear enough. This is from our friend John Arms.
I've reclaimed about 70% of my time. So now that I have Ella, which to me is like, that's 100 of the best marketers on the planet. Now that I have Ella on my elbow, they do a lot of that 70% of that grind work that I used to do. And they do a better job of it, right? So I've reclaimed about 70% of my time. Awesome. And the time I spend is like my highest quality. Like when I'm really good, I don't have to go read a bunch of white papers or anything like that. So that's one part. And then of course it increases the value of what I deliver. So now like, okay, the value of what I have is, it was good before.
And then I mistakenly cut that off this morning, and he says, but now it's really so much better. So
The ability of to script what we are looking for rather than just play back, spit back what's obvious was very impressive. And I've been looking at a lot of these, and because I want to incorporate this into something into the ongoing process.
so finding gaps, integrating with a process.
I need something to help break me out of my thinking so I can break them out of their thinking. And Ella's been doing a great job of that on the marketing side for sure.
So just some clips from recent Zoom calls.
This is easily the biggest game changer in marketing I've ever seen. This is understanding possible of the chance to actually write about this, and I can't wait to see those organizations.
So we're certainly proud of that. I'm just going to recap here the benefits that we have. If you are a fractional marketer and you're relatively new in your practice, winning prospects, Ella does a great job helping you get that business. That was one of the top concerns today. Building better plays, extending your services, and standing out are absolutely other benefits that she can offer. We want to turn everybody into a busy fractional. And if you are one of those already, or that is where you're headed to, being able to do more for your clients, increasing your capacity, serving different even kinds of budgets. And there's ways that you can even start to earn recurring revenue by building brand bots for customers. There's some pretty amazing things that we've been able to do out there too. So I want to get to pricing because there's going to be questions around that. So first of all, the way we're pricing Ella right now is a function of the number of clients that you're serving. So it's $249. It's a monthly fee. That's about what most of you are charging per hour. And we feel really strongly that you're going to be able to earn that back quickly. Ella better earn at least an hour of your time a month, or she's not doing her job for the clients that you're serving. And we did that. So if you're busy, we know there's more value in there for Ella, and if you're less busy, we kind of were able to keep that as a lower entry point. And that's something that we're excited to be able to offer you so you can put her to work. We offer concierge onboarding, so it's not just a piece of software. We're sitting down with you to help you build those first deliverables. We give you unlimited premium support, and most of our support people have been or even currently also operating as fractional CMOs. So it's a really different kind of experience. We also offer weekly office hours. Ella will earn that back for you, and we guarantee that. Ask for your money back if she doesn't. Cancel at any time, but essentially, she's going to save you time that you should be billing or could be billing customers. She can create new revenue for you with things like, here's a different plan or a blueprint or an audit, maybe a service that you wouldn't typically have done. Ella now can give you a new source of revenue. Don't worry about farming out as much as you might have before to subs or even things like a social media content person. Ella can get most of that set up for you. And then finally, that satisfaction is going to go up. So here's two things that I'm just going to end with. I know we're coming up on that final couple of minutes. 14-day trial. This is an important thing to see and know. AtomicElevator.com/waitlist. We want to bring you in because we offer this with a one-on-one tutorial. We want to make sure you're ready and we can be sensitive to your timing, but we also have a wait list right now. It's about 2 weeks long at the moment. We'll do everything we can to pull you guys to the front of that. But if you want to try this out, we would love to sit down and we would ask you to actually bring something to the table that you want to work on, and we'll build that together in our very first onboarding call. Here's the crazy thing I want to throw out here in our last, or 30 of our last 90 seconds. We were talking about this as a team and just said, hey, let's do something special for Fractionals United. Hugh and Brian talked me into this, and it's essentially, it goes like this. Today and today only, because, we're in marketing, we have to create some urgency and scarcity around this, right? Sign up for that wait list today. Even if you can't get started for a week or two because your schedule's busy, sign up for that wait list today. We're going to bump you as best we can to the front of the line or fit your schedule, and we're going to get you on an onboarding call. Then we're going to pull you in 14 days, absolutely free, build something with you, and you can go around and build unlimited stuff for the balance of that time. You got 14 days to create whatever you want with that. Here's the crazy part of the offer. Sign up for $249, and what we're going to do is basically waive any sort of additional client fee, so you can have unlimited access for the next 12 months. So that's the $1,000 a month or $999 a month value. So just $9,000 in there for you. So that's the URL again. If you're interested in that, I'm happy to stay on the call for a few more minutes to answer questions. I know we're at time and I want to be recognizing the value of yours. Thank you for writing our atomic elevator today. I hope she was a smooth, fast, and really inspirational ride as you think about kind of improving what you get to offer out there to the world and operating fully out of your zone of genius and just being the very best at who you are. So it's been really fun to get to know some of you briefly through questions, some through emails beforehand. Again, I'll stick on for a few more minutes. The future's brighter with you, and boy, it'd be fun to be on this journey along with you. So thank you for your time today. Open it up to any other questions right now, and the recording will be available for those who need to hop. I think we'll also have the Q&A in that recording too as well. So what do we got?
Yep. So it's questions on users and licenses. So can somebody use this for just themselves?
Yes.
And does pricing change?
And that counts as a client.
Right. So is it multiple users or a single user for?
If you have a team, we have a special offer for you. We have a team edition, both for marketing teams, and we have an agency edition. So we can talk to you about kind of some special pricing for multiple users within Ella. So we'd be happy to give you the details on that.
Perfect. Goes to this question. So am I able to use Ella to create content for me?
For sure.
Customers?
And if it's you and a client is probably the better way to say in that first license. You're free, if you will, but the $249 is the minimum level for one client. So it's you plus a client that you can create unlimited marketing for.
And here's a technical question. I'll read it as is. Are my services with Ella release of all rights and users of the created content with no clawback on royalties or rights? Sounds like a lawyer question.
Let me take that offline, and I think the answer is yes, but I want to read it, be thoughtful. So if we just make sure that we copy and paste a response back. Give us 24 hours. We'll get back to
Brian,
you.
just for context, I've got into writing a book, and I got guidance from an editor and a publisher where they were querying what level of research or any content was created in that. And when I started diving into that, it turns out there's a lot of watermarking that takes place.
I see. Yeah, it's all yours if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, so in other words, that I can then sell it. So I'm and there's also some of the engines are not allowing you to edit the content, so you have to use the content as it is presented.
No, do anything you want with it. We're supporting you, not trying to hold you hostage.
So in 3, 4, 5 years' time, there's not going to be some level of clawback that comes back on any watermarked IP or knowledge or anything that was created as a result of this.
Absolutely not. We're building this in service to you and the work that you're doing.
Okay.
think that was it.
There was one question that Ken asked about whether Ella asks for or prompts on the left panel's training detail.
Is the question, what are some of these prompts? I'm not sure I'm fully understanding you.
Actually, it looks like Ken has dropped, but just in case anyone else had the question, will Ella tell you what she needs? I answered the question in the chat like this to say she'll prompt you conversationally if there's missing information. But you can also ask her, like, what would I need to do to make this positioning statement better, right? Exactly.
To improve this positioning. Yeah, absolutely. Top to the bottom, and Ella will give you her feedback on that. So you also ask Ella. Ella will teach you how to use her. Just ask her what it is that you want to learn, or what it is that you want to do, and she'll teach you how to use herself.
Another question here. What's the difference between recent chats and clients?
Great. So these are just unstructured, unsaved chats. So, I haven't associated with them. I can sit down with Ella and I haven't basically filed. So think about it almost like your desktop on a computer metaphor, unfiled chats. And then clients is kind of the hierarchy we create. Within clients, you have projects. And so these are just simply unfiled. I'm not fully organized, but Ella automatically saves everything you're doing, even if you haven't organized it. And that was important to us in the early days because we're like, I forgot to save the chat. So that's what that's about.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that? So is the recent chat content like somehow flowing into those clients, or do we have to assign it and say, hey, actually this chat and what we were talking about applies to this quantum?
Yeah, so you will want to assign it to a client just by following a procedure like this if it's something that was helpful, right? Something you want to keep. So you're going to want to associate it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
I guess, and then does it leverage that content to update the other kind of marketing docs and marketing profile, that kind of thing? Like, where is the content coming?
Yeah, so I love the spirit of that question. As we've thought about that from a design standpoint, that kind of could be dangerous, right? If you don't want it to do that. So the way we have designed Ella to work is when you feel like something's good or good enough, save it. And save it as a state of a document. It could be a version 1, it could be a draft, it could be something like that. So as you're chatting and working, basically separate the idea of chat, that's your whole conversation, from the idea of documents, which is what you're actually working on. So save the document in a particular state, and then Ella will use that document. That being said, this is a little bit nuanced, but if you want to bring up a prior conversation that you had, like, there was some asset building I had this morning, all this information is in her brain. It's just that they don't, they're self-contained, if that makes sense. And we can take that offline if it's not. Like, it's the information in one chat is exclusive to that chat. So if you want to share it, you have to save it out. And there's a way you can do that too. So,
got it. Yeah, I may want to expand on this offline. So thanks.
You can, get in the trial. We'll walk you through it. It will do what I think the root of what you're asking it to do is, which is how do I make sure that it's getting smarter for my brands? It does a great job of it. So
precisely that question. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Other questions?
I think we covered most of them.
Okay. Well, again, I want to thank everybody who joined. I want to encourage you to, if it looks like it could be a fit, try her on for 2 weeks, put her to work for you. And we're so confident you're going to love her that we're offering that, our time, an hour to basically get you set up, and then unlimited support during those 2 weeks. Create something of value, make some money, get a project done, let us help. And then we'd love to give you that very, very special deal between now and the next 12 months if you decide to bring her onto your team. So thank you again for everybody. To the team on Atomic Elevator, well, Brian, thanks for all your work organizing this, and you, thanks for doing a great job helping us be clear about what we're saying. And I know we've got some product people on it. Peter might still be on, so we just appreciate everything you're doing to make Ella the very best marketing assistant that's out there. So hope to meet some of you out there, and wish you all a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Good job.
Okay.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.